Um, so today I'm talking to Duncan Brockwell, who lives in Burgess Hill, West Sussex, with his beautiful wife Bex and their rescue cat Millie. Works as a dental technician during the day. Duncan currently has 3 books out. One called The Southern Bells, under the pseudonym Katie Simpkins. Then No Way Out and Bird of Prey. Gritty crime thrillers featuring Nasreen Maqsood. Then he has Bad Blood, the 3rd in the series, out tomorrow. So, Duncan, would you like to tell us a little bit about your new book?
Bad Blood. Hang on, I will just go and get something. Bear with me. Short minute, don't worry. I should have had this with me to start with, to be honest. Anyway, there is the actual paperback. Bad Blood. So this one's the 3rd in the series, and it's about Nasreen. There's a spate of murders, particularly grisly ones, and she's assigned a new partner, Alicia Weeks, who is ex-military. She had her leg blown off in when she was overseas, and since then she's been in rehabilitation. And then she's joined the police because she can't continue in the army, but she can join the police. So she's come in as fast tracked, and they don't get on, basically. So it's really about how they learn to work together to solve these murders. And these murders are particularly nasty. You know, if they know it's going to be a continuing thing, because they keep finding photos on the murder victims. I don't want to give too much away because, you know, it's quite an in-depth book. But yeah, so that's out tomorrow.
It is, and it's brilliant. It was a 5-star read from me, so yep, that's good.
Lovely.
So I was talking to Andy Roberts yesterday, and he kept calling you a machine, and a lot of other people think that your daily word output when you write is really high. Do you think of it like that?
No, not really. I aim for about 1,000 words a day, more on the weekends, but during the week I can probably get 1,000 words out. Sometimes I get more. It depends on how into the story I am at the time, or that particular scene. But yeah, 1,000 words a day is perfectly reasonable to do, and on the weekends I can do 3,000-4,000 a day. So I can get I like to get about 10 to 12,000 words a week out of it. So yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
so,
I think you said you've released 3 books in the time it's taken for him to release one. Andy.
Yeah, but I have those pre-written though, so that's not like, you know. But I'm averaging about a book every 3 months, I reckon. So it takes me about 2 months to write the first draft, and then about a month to edit it before I send it off to the publisher. So it takes me about 3 months.
That's fine. That's too long, actually, for me. You need to write quicker.
I think you might say
that. What's the most difficult part about writing for you?
The most difficult part, at the moment, it's really difficult because I've got 3 things on the go. So once you've written a book, it's all good, but then it goes through the whole process of being published. So then you get the edits back, and then that can take up to about a week, or, you know, sort of 10 days to go through all the edits and get that bit right. And then once you put the edits back, it then comes back to you a 3rd time, and then you've got to do that. So I might be writing one novel while editing another, and then the edits might come back for that other one as well. So I've got 3 things at the moment I'm doing. So I've then got to prioritize which ones I want to do. So, for example, today I've got the proofread came back of Mr. Invisible, which is due out on the 4th of January. And I've got them back today. So I've got to add that into also editing Feral that I've already written. And then I'm also writing Marbles. So I've got 3 things on the go. That's the hard part. So I'm prioritizing Mr. Invisible to get that done. So it means I'm holding off on the writing, which I don't like. So that's the hard part, is not being able to write, because it makes me feel, you know, you've got an itch you can't scratch. That's what it feels like to me when if I'm not writing.
Which of your books that you've written so far is your favourite and why?
That's an easy one. Horror, Hellingly, simply because it's my favourite genre, and I love that story anyway, Hellingly. So obviously that's not out yet, but I'm working on it. So
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed.
yeah,
I loved it as well. So yeah, I want to see that released.
I could see that as a film, that one, because it's quite cinematic.
Yeah,
The deaths in it are very cinematic, and the ending's very cinematic. So I could see that as a movie. If someone
might have to tone it down just a smidge.
if someone was brave enough to make it and
Yeah.
star in it.
You wouldn't want a cameo in it then?
No, no way, not a chance.
You could be the investigator. That'd be fine. A journalist.
No, I don't. No, I wouldn't want that job. Someone else can do it. I'm quite happy writing it.
Which of your characters that you've written so far is your favourite and why?
My favourite character. Ooh, I'd probably go. My favourite character to write, without a doubt, was Cara Mooney, the villain in Bird of Prey. Solely because I put a lot of thought into her former life and what she'd done leading up to that point that you meet her in No Way Out, and then again between No Way Out and Bird of Prey, having to think about what she's been up to, what she's gone through, and what I try to do with her is make her. It's quite an emotional one because she's gone through quite a lot, so you can see why she's got this really warped vision of like relationships and people, and then why she subsequently goes on to murder these people. And I wanted it to be a bit like Criminal Minds, where you actually feel a bit sorry for her, even though she's this really, really vicious, nasty murderer. You can sort of not sympathise with her, but you can, kind of feel sorry for her.
You do, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, she's probably one of my favourites as well, and one of my favourite books of yours. Do your colleagues know that you're an author?
My boss does. No one at work really talks about it, to be honest. I'll talk to my boss occasionally, but it's not a big thing. So
you should tell him. They might buy your books.
I think my boss has bought one or two, I think, but
he doesn't expect freebies then.
Everyone expects freebies.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't. If you give them, you give them. You're out to make money, aren't you? So.
Well, you do enough for us authors anyway, so you deserve the free books.
Oh, thanks. What's your favourite part of your day?
Getting home from work and switching the laptop on, and then sitting there, and I know that I've got a few hours to write. Basically, that's my favourite time of the day. Oh, bless him! Look at him.
Who are you being soppy for?
Oh, he loves you, see?
He does. He's a big baby. What are you up to?
How old is he now?
13, nearly 14.
Oh,
yeah. Boy. You see his no eyes.
Yeah.
He never does this. Who are you being a baby for? So if you had a dinner party, what 4 famous people would you invite?
I've had time to actually think about this one. I should be able to reel it off the top of my head as well. Writers wise, I'd actually really like to speak to Stephen Leather. He's one of my favourite authors. The Shepherd series that he does, I love those books. A dead writer that I'd really like to speak to and have a dinner party with would be Mario Puzo, Godfather author. Absolutely love his books, and I've actually read all of his books, even the really obscure ones from before Godfather. He'd be a really interesting person to speak to. Also, I'm reading Zoe's Predator at the moment, Zoe Caldwell's, Predator. I'd probably invite her along to a dinner party as well. She'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
And also a good friend of mine, Valerie, as well. Valerie, she writes as Keo. I don't know how you pronounce her name. That name, is it Keo?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
anyway,
maybe.
So yeah, I'd invite those two along as well.
Sounds like fun. I asked on your beta group if anyone wanted to ask you any questions, and Samantha Murphy would like to know where the inspiration for the Southern Bells came from.
I had this idea for a romance, and I just finished writing what was then Bloodlust, which became Bird of Prey. So I'd written Blood Bunker and Bloodlust, which were No Way Out and Bird of Prey. And I was looking for something a bit different because I was getting a bit to write crime or death and stuff. It can take its toll sometimes. So I wanted something a bit lighter. So I wanted to try my hand at a bit of romance, and I just had this idea of these three sisters in Brighton, and I wanted to set in Brighton because I love that city because it's our closest one, and I was thinking Brighton's really cool. So I wanted to set a novel in Brighton, and I just had this idea about these three really rich, famous sisters having this life of luxury in like the really posh parts of Brighton, then going and then losing all their money and then having to start over, but with nothing, and then having to like sleep in a little horrible cruddy bedsit. All three of them on mattresses, they haven't even got beds, they're that poor, and then they've got to go out and get jobs and that to make ends meet, and then obviously finding love in the weirdest of places, that sort of thing. So that's the story that I wanted, and I wouldn't say I know where the inspiration came from, but that was what I wanted to sort of convey. And then I wanted it to be like a sisterhood, so the sisters to have a really strong bond, and for that to conquer everything, which it did ultimately. Yeah. And so that's what I wanted out of the Southern Bells, and I think I managed it. So yeah, it's I enjoyed writing that, but I actually enjoyed writing that more than I enjoy writing crime. Yeah, I felt better writing it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, mentally, yeah. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you were good at that as well, so
oh, thank you.
I like that. Leslie Lloyd is. Thanks. Leslie Lloyd's got loads of questions for you. Yeah. Actually, I think you've answered most of them. Apart from The Godfather author, are there any others that you really admire?
Yeah, I've got lots of authors that I know now through the Bloodhound gang. That there's loads, and there's too many to mention. Kerry Beavis, Stewart, for example.
Yeah.
John Nicol. They're all just these amazing. I'm in awe of all of them, to be honest. Even Andy Roberts as well. Yeah, they're all just really cool people, and they're really helpful as well. And they're just a really good network to sort of have on hand. When you've got questions and being a new author. So yeah.
Yeah, Andy said the same actually. He said the same about all of you. So yeah, it's obviously really nice. I mean, I know all of you as well, and I agree. Not that I'm an author, but and Leslie also asked what you've read recently that you've loved.
I actually read Andy's. That was such a superb novel. The Lies People Tell, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I really liked it. I've also read Resistance. So Patricia Dixon.
Patricia, you read that?
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
I managed to read that as well. That was really good. Don't think I've reviewed that one yet. I'm all over the place with this now. So I've read a few, but I'm actually sticking to the Bloodhound lot at the moment, so I don't think I need to go anywhere else with reading. And if I'm honest, I actually watch more movies than I read books, because I'm actually quite a slow reader, and I'm I watch a film every night basically, so I'm much more. I get a lot more of my inspiration from movies than I do from books, which I know sounds really awful because I'm a writer, but that's just the way I have been. I always have been. I've been a big movie buff for years since I was a kid, so it's always going to be a bigger part of my heart to films than to books. I know you can crucify me now.
No, not at all. As long as you keep writing, then that's fine.
It's all storytelling, isn't it? So
yeah, I don't care. Just keep writing books. I don't care where you get your inspiration from. And Leslie asked, does Bloodhound provide you with books they want you to read? But I guess it comes more from the authors, doesn't it, than Bloodhound?
Bloodhound don't do that. They get their ARC readers, so they put out emails for people, just regular readers. They don't necessarily want authors to read it, so we don't get anything from them, but we will get authors saying, would you like to read this for me, and then do a review. And that's so yeah, that's fine. I've done that for Andy and a few other people, so yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, have you read Kerry's new one yet?
No, I haven't yet. In fact, I haven't actually read any of Kerry's yet, so I've got to
I better not tell her that. She's my next victim.
Oh, is she? When you doing her?
Her book's out next week, so we've got to agree details. But yeah, bless her. Yeah.
I might start with that one. Oh no, hang on. I was listening to Kerry's. Is it D for Dead or M for Murder? Which is the first one? D for Dead.
D for Dead, yeah.
Yeah, that one. I was listening to it on Audible. Yeah, that's so good. I love it. That's really good. Oh, Millie's going mental again. Oh, that's her clambering on the armchair. I've got to show you this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Oh no, she's going to play. Oh.
It's like, no, I'm not performing. And then I think last question is, there is anything you're working on at the minute that you'd like to tell us about?
I'm writing Mubbles Marvels, which is set in a little village. It's Marbles is actually a restaurant, and it's a failing restaurant. The village of Bishop's Drake has been it's going through a tough time because there was a fatal car crash that basically split the village in two. So you've got two sides to the village because when the crash happened, actually I can't say too much about the story. I don't want to give too much away, but basically there's split loyalties between the two halves of the village. And so everyone's going through a hard time. So the first, like, say 25% of the book is quite bleak because it's quite an in-depth story, and it's about grief and that sort of thing. And then basically the owners of this restaurant, they have a chance meeting with a chef that they hire, and he seems to be as soon as he comes in, everyone's lives start turning around and getting really good, and so they start thinking, oh god, is he sort of dishing out a bit of magic here? So there's a bit of magic involved there as well. I'm not saying whether it is magic or not, but you'll have to wait and see for that. And it's a heartwarming, uplifting sort of story. So I'm actually really enjoying writing this one at the moment, but it is quite gritty. So even though there's no murders and there's no death in it, as in there's no murders or people killing each other, but it is still quite gritty in that sort of respect. So I'm hoping to have the first draft of that finished before the new year, so in December, hopefully at some point. And then I can. So well, I have quite a bit of time over Christmas to be able to do some writing as well. So I'm hoping to get a lot done over Christmas, which would be cool.
Yep, absolutely. Can't wait. As you know,
you'll be the first one to get your your hands on it anyway. So
I know. Yeah, I'm waiting. I've actually got an assignment to do, so it's fine. You can carry on with your Mr. Invisible stuff. I was
going to hand some over this weekend anyway, but
yeah. Well, I'm on furlough, so I have nothing else to do.
That's right. I'll let you know as soon as it's first ready.
Yay! So I think that is all I have to ask you.
Cool.
Where can we find out more about you and your books? That's the last question.
On Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I'm under Duncan C Brockwell on Facebook. I'm DC Brockwell on Instagram, and I think I'm now DC Brockwell on Twitter as well. So yeah, there you go, and you get all the insides. And if people want to join my beta group, I've still got some openings available. They can just contact me through like Facebook or that. And the group's called Brockwell's Beaters. I think you can request then as well through that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you can find out more.
Yep, which I'd highly recommend. It's a fun place to be. You get to learn more about how your mind works in that than any other author, I think.
Oh dear. I'm not sure you want to be there.
No.
Especially with my next one that's lined up. That's
Yeah.
horrible. Because I've told you about that, haven't I?
You have.
The Notorious Six. It's going to be an ode to Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, just without the supernatural element to it. It's just going to be mental. So I'm looking forward to starting out as soon as I've done Marvels.
You'll have about 2 years worth of books lined up, won't you, at this rate?
Well, I've actually got a notepad on my mobile that I keep all my blurbs. When I get them coming ahead, I write them down in my phone. And I think I've got about 30 in there now. So I've probably got about 30 books. Most of them could actually be novels as well. So I've probably got about 30 ideas there. And they just come and then I'll write them down. And I can always go back to them and then think, oh, that would be a good one. So yeah, I've probably got about 5 proper ideas down that I can do that I'm sort of thinking, I'll do that at some point.
Yeah.
So I won't be stopping anytime soon.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to stop the recording.
You're welcome.